Hello, this is an update regarding the Toll 49 Segment 6 project as of March 27, 2020. On behalf of the Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority, thank you for your interest in this proposed project. In this presentation, I will provide you with information about the project, the upcoming environmental study, anticipated timeline, and how you can participate in this process. I'd like to begin with an overview of who the Northeast Texas Regional Mobility Authority, or NET RMA, is. They are an independent local government agency. It is a common misconception that they are a private entity, but they are not. Regional mobility authorities were created by Texas legislation in 2001. The NET RMA was formed in 2004. They follow all applicable state and federal laws as a government agency. The NET RMA is governed by a board of directors that represent 14 counties. The chairwoman was appointed by the governor and each board member by their local county commissioner court. The NET RMA also employs a staff in the city of Tyler and third-party experts to assist with their efforts to expedite transportation solutions that will enhance the quality of life and the economic environment in Northeast Texas. They are authorized to implement a wide range of transportation systems, and they own and operate Toll 49, which is their flagship project. You can learn more about them at netrma.org. So let's talk more about Toll 49. On the screen, you can see in blue where Toll 49 is open to traffic. Most recently, Segment 4 opened in 2018 from I-20 into Lindale. The NET RMA is working towards their vision of mobility in Northeast Texas that they call the East Texas Hourglass. The idea is that you would take existing Toll 49 to the future Segment 6, then continue on U.S. 271, which will always remain non-tolled and under the jurisdiction of the Texas Department of Transportation, and then you would reach the future Segment 7, which is just south of the city of Gilmer. Then you would continue on to the future Segment 8, which would end at what is now U.S. 59, but will one day be redesignated to I-369 north of the city of Marshall. So now let's dig into Segment 6. This is the NET RMA's initiative to explore potential options to extend Toll 49. Segment 6 is the proposed new location roadway. It would begin at SH 110, where the current Toll 49 Segment 5 ends, and it finishes up at US 271. The city of Tyler and this area of Northeast Texas continues to grow. People are moving here. Businesses are moving here. As of 2019, Tyler has the fourth largest chamber of commerce in the state of Texas, and UT Tyler continues to expand. So why is the expansion needed? With more people and more businesses, that means congestion on the existing roads. The current roadway network is inadequate to meet current and future traffic volumes. Tyler is a center for medical services and is experiencing growth in retail, employment, and higher education. In addition, a north-south route in East Smith County doesn't exist today. So what is the purpose of Segment 6? The NET RMA looks to improve mobility, provide reliable travel times, and enhance connectivity in the region. So what is the timeline of the project development process? Right now, Segment 6 is just an idea. So how do you take an idea to that very first car driving on the new road? Several years ago, a conceptual study was prepared and a conceptual route was identified. However, to receive formal approval for construction, the NET RMA is required to do a more robust set of studies with a broader study area. The first step was a feasibility study. This was a year-long process that began in 2018 and ended November 2019 with the publishing of a feasibility study report. This process, following standard procedures for identifying potential routes, was a 10,000-foot look at East Smith County to narrow down what began as 50 route options to 3 route options. Our next step is an environmental study and schematic design. I'll be talking more about this process in a moment, but this step in the project development process includes comprehensive study to identify the best possible route option, as well as the preparation of a schematic or preliminary roadway design. The next phases are contingent on the outcome of the environmental study. Should the NET RMA receive approval to construct Segment 6 and identify funding, the agency would then move into final design, acquiring right-of-way, and adjusting utilities. This phase is approximately 3 or so years long. Then they could move into construction. A funding plan to build Segment 6 is not yet in place, but the NET RMA anticipates using bonds, revenue from existing toll, and perhaps a federal loan. So where are we now? Again, for future views of this presentation, this information is as of late March 2020. The final route options from the feasibility study are the purple route, which is closest to the city of Tyler, the yellow adjusted route, which is directly to the east of purple, and the teal adjusted route, which is further to the east. During the feasibility study, the NET RMA followed a consistent, standard procedure and covered a lot of ground. We looked at East Smith County from a 10,000-foot level. This study identified high-level and critical elements regarding engineering, environmental concerns, public interest, and economic feasibility. In short, it's how we reduce the study area for the next phase of study. A misconception we have heard is that the NET RMA has already chosen which of these 3 routes that should move forward. This is not true. There is no preferred route of these 3 options. There is no front runner. More study data needs to be collected and analyzed, and public input needs to be requested and considered before any selection can occur. It is also important to note that these routes are subject to change. The NET RMA will initiate an environmental impact statement. This process includes coordination with the Texas Department of Transportation's Environmental Affairs Division. They are the ones assigned as the federal delegate to make the decision if Segment 6 will be built or not at the end of this EIS process. I'd like to note that this is the Environmental Affairs Division in Austin, not our local TxDOT Tyler district. This process also includes a data-driven evaluation. During the environmental study phase, one of the elements is that biologists, historians, planners, and other specialists will walk the proposed routes to collect information regarding impacts to existing communities, businesses, and the environment. This process also includes coordination with resource agencies such as the U.S. Corps of Engineers and the Texas Historical Commission. There will also be additional public involvement. This process will begin at the end of March 2020. An environmental impact statement is a complex process with a set terminology, so the route options from the feasibility study will now be called our possible preliminary alternatives. Following the public scoping meeting, these alternatives will be refined and likely be adjusted and then called the reasonable alternatives. Those reasonable alternatives will be narrowed down to one build alternative. All alternatives are compared against a no-build or do-nothing alternative. The no-build is a baseline for comparison and an option on the table for final approval. An environmental impact statement is the most rigorous study there is for transportation projects. We look at how the proposed project could impact the human and natural environment. It follows the National Environmental Policy Act of 1969, or NEPA. I like to note the year because this process is comprehensive, tried and true, and used across the nation on projects such as this. There are a lot of elements studied in an environmental impact statement. Some of them include water resources. We know the community in Tyler is concerned about impacts to water resources, such as how the roadway will cross creeks, floodplains, and wetlands. We share that concern, and please note that this is part of our study. We also look at historic resources and traffic noise, and a critical component to our review is public input. An EIS is a kind of jigsaw puzzle. We have to look at all the study data and public input, all of those pieces and parts, so that we can identify the best possible route for approval. Now, what kind of design are we looking at for Segment 6? We are looking at an interim design and ultimate design. The interim design would be similar to the existing Toll 49, which is pictured in this presentation. There would be one lane in each direction as well as passing lanes. Now, different from what is pictured, we are considering a concrete barrier to be placed between the lanes. The ultimate design would be 2 lanes in each direction with a grassy median or concrete barrier in the middle. Safety is the NET RMA's #1 priority. The design will follow all applicable laws and regulations and consider all best practices from the existing Toll 49 and similar roadways across the state. If you take anything away from this presentation, please note, routes are subject to change. Here is the timeline for the environmental impact statement process. Of note, this timeline is subject to change. In March 2020, the NET RMA initiated the environmental impact statement. What will follow is a public scoping meeting, preliminary study and analysis of the alternatives, and then an additional public meeting and further study and analysis. Then there will be the identification of the build alternative, public release of the draft environmental impact statement, and a public hearing. The process concludes with a record of decision from the TxDOT Environmental Affairs Division. Now, the exact timing of these public events is subject to change due to concerns regarding the coronavirus. The NET RMA continues to monitor public health guidance from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, and the state of Texas regarding large public events. We urge you to sign up for updates at netrma.org to receive notification when these meetings are scheduled. To continue, I want to note that when we hold that public hearing, that is when the NET RMA will announce the route identification. But a route is not a decision. We anticipate receiving what is called the Record of Decision in 2022. Should the decision indicate that Segment 6 is approved to be constructed, then the NET RMA Board of Directors will make a vote to proceed or not with this project. It is a common misconception that the Board of Directors has a say in the route selection during the environmental study. Please know that this is a federally required environmental study process, and the NET RMA Board of Directors does not have a role in route selection for the proposed extension of Toll 49. The following is some information for public input during the environmental impact statement process. We anticipate holding a public scoping meeting in open house format in 2020. Previous communications to the public have stated that we anticipated this meeting occurring in spring of 2020. As noted earlier, we continue to monitor public health guidance from the CDC and the state of Texas regarding large public events. We urge you to sign up for updates at netrma.org to receive notification when this meeting is scheduled. So what will be shown at the public scoping meeting? At this meeting, the following items will be available for review and comment: the draft coordination plan, the draft public involvement plan, the draft purpose and need, the range of alternatives under consideration, issues to be considered in the alternatives analysis, and a draft schedule for the environmental impact statement. These materials will also be available online at netrma.org for those unable to attend the meeting. This meeting will have a 30-day comment period, and your comments will be requested. So how can you provide comments? To be included in the environmental impact statement record, you must submit your comments as follows. There is a web form on the Segment 6 webpage on netrma.org. You can email your comments to toll49segment6@gmail.com. You can mail them to the NET RMA's offices located on 1001 East Southeast, Loop 323, Suite 420 in the city of Tyler. You can also submit them at our public meetings and public hearing. During the official comment periods of these meetings and the hearing, those comments are included in the decision-making document. Official comments will be received and recorded in a report that documents the meeting or the hearing, and it will include responses to each comment. Now, we are often asked, does my input make a difference? The answer is yes. Your input helps us better understand community concerns and values. We also learn from you new constraints and potential impacts. Comments are not a vote, but what you provide helps inform the decision making. On behalf of the NET RMA, we thank you for your time and your attention. An environmental impact statement is a lengthy and complex process, so your patience is appreciated. We welcome you to participate in our upcoming public scoping meeting and other meetings as they are scheduled. Your input is valuable in this process. Please visit us online at netrma.org for more information or to ask a question. Thank you.